Hi friends, it's Elise here from Bully Bell, and it's one of my favorite times of the month when I get to use my Cocoa Daisy subscription to set up my A5 planner. I'll quickly go through the things that came in the July kit. We got 6 different papers that are double-sided, a notepad, a fun little glitter packet. We got some date stamps. We also got a little fish scale pattern washi. And a kind of fun item that we don't usually get is a little deco sheet. This month it had mermaid tails in keeping with the theme. Then we got some more of the usual items like our tab labels, our date stickers, a functional sheet, our tabs, some die cuts, our monthly tab, and then the inserts, which include the month on 2 pages, the week on 1 page, the week on 2 pages, and then the daily to-do sheets. Another fun item that we got this month is this cute little pencil pouch. So now that we've seen everything in the kit, let's see what I can create. So I originally got one of the Carpe Diem A5 planners in I think they call it a robin's egg blue, but I ended up having to return it because I realized that it was almost the exact same color as the planner I used in June. And while that's not the end of the world, I decided that I kind of wanted a change of pace. So I went back to get the coral version, but I realized that it is a lot redder than I had thought. So I ended up getting a Petals and Blooms planner that's made by the Paper Studio at Hobby Lobby. And I really like the way it feels. It has a nice kind of soft, squishy feeling. So I'm excited to use it in July. But back to the task at hand, I went ahead and made my dividers and paired up the tabs that I would use with each paper. And then I'm going through and putting my divider tabs on each divider. And the way that I do this is to line the top tab up flush with the top, the bottom flush with the bottom, try and put one in the middle, and then fill in the gaps with the remaining 2 so that I have 5 total. I don't know whether it was me in the way I punched it or whether it's the planner itself, but it seems like the holes didn't exactly line up with the rings. I'm not sure exactly why, and I'm hoping that over time with use, the holes will kind of, line up a little bit better. Now I'm going through and labeling each of my tabs and putting the inserts. So behind the first tab, I do the month on 2 pages. Then I like to use a little hello, whatever the month is, label and put the week on 2 pages. And I'm so glad to say that they brought back the hello month tab, but what they don't have is the random thoughts tab. So I still make that myself and include that with orders for the coordinating kits in my shop. And behind that tab where I like to put the week on 1 page. Then I do the daily to-do section, and behind that I do a little note section, and I will just transfer that section over from the previous month into the new planner. And of course, I'll be using the coordinating date kit from my shop that you can see here. I just printed out some of the pages, and we will be doing another giveaway this month. So you could win the date kit here along with a coordinating tassel like this one. And as usual, all you have to do to enter is to subscribe and leave a comment in the comment section below that says stickers please, and I will reply with a number, and that will be your entry number. We're gonna have to do a kind of quick turnaround on this month's giveaway because I'm actually going on vacation next week. So let's say that the final day to enter will be Tuesday, the 27th. Now on to the next tab. On the week on 1 page inserts, I like to do just a little bit of journaling every day. And here I like to use the little date stickers that come with the Cocoa Daisy kit. I think that they are the perfect size for these little planning areas. And some months I like to take a piece of washi to try and line up the stickers, but this month I just kind of went with it and they were a little bit crooked, but oh well. Here on the daily to-do pages, I use the coordinating kit from my shop for the date. And then because I don't really use the hydrate area, I just use this as a place to play with deco stickers and washi and just have a little place to decorate the page each day. So on this first day of the month, I just decided to take a little piece of scrapbook paper, and then I decided to layer on top of it a little quote from a little Mambi sticker book, along with the deco from one of the date sheets in the coordinating kits from my shop. Now on to one of my favorite parts, which is decorating my dividers. I decided that this watercolor paper would be really good for my first divider because I felt like it pulled out some of the nice cool undertones in the kit and that it would be a nice kind of first page of the planner. The kit did come with a little glitter packet, and I was thinking about making like a shaker dashboard, but I decided that I just wanted to have kind of a nice clean front and nothing that was too busy there in the front of my planner. So I decided to play around with a few journaling cards and maybe some washi here on the first divider. Right now I'm just sorting through the different journaling cards in my collection, trying to kind of pick out ones that I feel like will go with the palette in this kit. So I just kind of threw them to either side of the divider, and now that I've narrowed down my collection, I'm trying to figure out which journaling card to use as the centerpiece of this divider. I really liked how this cool tone kind of fuchsia journaling card worked with the background, but I wanted to kind of separate it a little bit because I felt like it would be a little bit of a blunt transition to go from this watercolor directly to that solid fuchsia. So I decided to use a watercolor scrapbook paper palette that I had because this particular print had some kind of white areas to it, and I felt like it created a little bit of like an ombre kind of gradient outward to the background watercolor paper. Then I just decided to use some of the die cuts that came along with the kit, and because it was looking a little bit soft, I thought maybe I would pull out some of the bold purples that are in the kit with some washi on the top and bottom. So I decided to go for this really bold chevron print because I felt like it played off of the soft watercolors in a fun and interesting way. But I was a little bit worried that the chevron, it would get a little bit muddled just because of the watercolor background and because it is a busy print. So I decided that I would kind of transition from the watercolor to the chevron by using some of this watercolor washi that's from a tube at Michael's. And I figured that would just help to soften the transition a little bit so that it wasn't so bold. And I was sure to cut the washi and maintain the directionality of the print when making my little banner flag shape things at the end, because it can get a little bit crazy looking if you try and cut chevron in the wrong direction. Once I felt like I had all of the elements that I wanted to include, I went ahead and glued down the journaling card and the die cuts, and then just repunched the holes in the back. Then it was time to move on to the second divider, which is like this really pretty wave print with a soft gradient between like a peach color and a teal color. So for this divider, I decided that I would use a little scrap of paper that came in along with my Webster's Pages inserts, and it's one of their like collage kind of pages, but I thought that it worked really well with like the beach sea theme. I think the bottom is like supposed to be a cork board, but it really kind of simulates a beach. So I thought that it would work really well here, especially because the paper itself kind of mirrors a kind of beach, like you have the sand moving into the water. So I felt like it was particularly fitting. Then, because the image itself and the background were both so soft, I thought that I would kind of separate the image from the background by using these pattern journaling cards. And I thought the colors worked really well in this situation because they kind of did a reverse gradient from the background. Like you can see the journaling cards move from warmer to cooler from top left to bottom right, and then the paper moves from warmer to cooler from bottom left to top right. And I really like the way that this divider turned out because I love to mix prints, and I find that the best way to do that is just to kind of throw things down there and see if it works. Sometimes you would be surprised. Prints that you think might be a little bit too out there actually end up looking good. I finished it off by just putting down some die cuts and washi. And then it was time to move on to the third divider. So when I saw this paper, I knew that I wanted to do something involving like ocean water. Like to me, it just looked like ocean water. So I figured that maybe I would try and do like a little beach moving into water in the bottom left corner. So the first thing I did was grab kind of like a, I guess like a burlap kind of print to represent the sand. And then I grabbed some watercolor cardstock and used that to make kind of like the first layer of like maybe like ocean froth. And then using the same piece of paper, I tried to find an area that had like a darker kind of shades of blue and use that to represent the next layer of the kind of wave. That way it would be a little bit different color. Then because the bottom was so like kind of in your face, I decided that I would do something a little bit more subtle up top. So I just got a little journaling scrap kind of from a Project Life kit, and I used that up at the top. I struggled a little bit at the bottom because I wanted to include some die cuts or something because it was just kind of so blank, that big kind of burlap print area, but I just was struggling a little bit. Like the white around the die cuts I thought was a little bit too distracting, and then I just couldn't make these gold foiled ones work very well, so it was a little bit hard. But in the end, because nothing was really working for me down there, I decided to just ditch the idea of die cuts in the bottom corner and just focused my attention up top. Before gluing down the layered pieces of cardstock, I did try and kind of clean things up a little bit because my initial cuts were not very good. So I just tried to clean up the edges a little bit and then started layering them together. That was the easy part. It got a little bit tricky when I tried to actually adhere the little stack to the divider itself. Like I had to kind of peel things up a few times and try and put it back down in order to line it up just right. And it still isn't perfect, but I'm no perfectionist when it comes to that kind of thing. Then back up at the top, I knew that I would need something to separate this little, what I guess we'll call it a element, or this little die cut, I guess we'll call it. I knew I would need something to separate it from the background because they were almost the same color. So I went to one of my tried and true methods of just making a little washi flag. And that gold foiled washi is from a Michaels tube that was in their mermaid collection from this spring, and I felt like it worked really, really well with this kit. Then, because that end of that little oh so lovely die cut was so blunt, I decided that I wanted to cover it with something, so I decided on using that gold foiled star. And with that done, all that was left to do was to just re-punch the holes and put it back into the planner. Now we are on to the next divider, and this one is a really pretty watercolor print kind of with polka dots on top. So as I was going through my scraps of paper and journaling cards, I saw that kind of driftwood, kind of beach wood grain paper that was from a Webster's Pages insert. So I knew that I wanted to use that. And I also knew that I wanted to pull out some of the warm kind of oranges and peaches that were in this paper as well. I was going through this little booklet of dashboards that I got at the Target dollar spot that's meant for their little ring-bound planners, and it had inside two little kind of orange background quotes that I thought worked really well, so I knew that I wanted orange to be the color of my quote. Out of my two options, I felt like the sizing of this Today is the Day one would work the best, so I decided to layer that on top of the scrap of paper with the wood grain print from the Webster's Pages insert, and then layer underneath it a really pretty kind of melon or cucumber colored paper. And I thought that that subtle shade was just the perfect kind of transition color between the background and the wood grain. So I just layered those papers together and then put the Today is the Day journaling card or dashboard piece on top. I went ahead and punched the holes in the back right away because I wanted to see what kind of space I had to work with, because I knew that I wanted to add some other elements, probably some die cuts or washi, and I wanted to know how much space that I had to work with. Throughout this whole planner setup, I've been trying to use this gold foiled washi that has like really pretty sand dollars on it, and it's kind of like a ombre peach color. It's from the mermaid kit, like the mermaid tube at Michaels, but I feel like it just keeps on not working. But I've been trying to use it every single time that I possibly can. So because that didn't work, I just started playing around with some die cuts and finally kind of found a placement that I felt like worked. So once I had an idea, I went ahead and glued down the Today is the Day part and then just put down some different die cuts on either side in a configuration that worked for me. So with that done, it was time to put it back in the planner and go on to the last divider. Now this paper, this fish scale pattern is very busy, and I find that busy prints are the most challenging to work with and to decorate because you do have so much going on. But at the same time, you do have a lot of colors to work with as well, so that is good. In going through my collection of journaling cards, I kind of quickly arrived at this really pretty gold foiled Big Dipper pattern or print, and I decided that I would separate it from the busy background using just a solid color peach piece of paper. I didn't want to use anything like a watercolor paper because I really didn't want to compete anymore with all the busyness going on in the background. But I did want to add something else there because there was just this blank space, and I knew that I wanted to add some other element or a quote there in the middle. Initially, I was thinking that I would use this little Lucky You die cut because I liked how it used the dark blue and a kind of light blue color, and I thought that worked really well with the palette of this divider. But then I decided that I just really didn't like the way that it looked along with all the other elements on the page. I just felt like it was a little bit too stark. So I was trying to find some ways to soften a little bit by layering a little bit more and bringing in some other colors. So I decided to bring in this kind of salmon colored paper and just layer that underneath the kind of burlap print. And when I did that, I had another idea that maybe I would try and incorporate some of these gold foiled words that came along with the Project Life kit. So I just created a kind of arrow shape to use as a background, and then I pulled out one of the gold foiled words that says today. And I really don't know exactly how these are supposed to be used, but I just tried to do my best to get it on the page. It wasn't easy, and let me tell you, there was definitely some sticky residue involved, but I did manage to get it on there in a way that I feel like works well enough. But if you do know how these little gold foiled words are supposed to be used, then please let me know in the comment section below. So with that done, all that was left to do was to repunch the holes and to get it back into the planner. Now, when I'm done with my dividers, I usually like to just go through one last time and just look at them and make sure that there isn't anything that I want to change or add to any of the dividers. So here we're just going through one last time to take a look, and it's also good just to give you a little reminder of the look and feel of the whole planner. That way it can give you some ideas and inspirations for the next step, which is decorating the planner pockets. So the first thing that I like to do is to take all the different planner accessories that I think I'm going to use in the pockets and just kind of lay them out. That way I can see what colors I am going to be working with. That way I can try and incorporate some different colors in the scrapbook paper that I also put into the pockets. For the little window pocket, I decided to use this kind of distressed turquoise paper, and I figured this would be a great place to use some of the cute little mermaid deco stickers along with a quote from a Manby sticker book. And I felt like this quote worked particularly well because it says, "Ride the wave, you got this." So it works with the colors, and it also works with the overall kind of theme of this planner. So I put down the little quote sticker, and then I layered on top of it some little mermaid tails in an arrangement I felt like would work well in the little pocket area. I have to admit, I did struggle a little bit with exactly how many tails to fit on there, but finally I decided that the two worked really well. Then I tried to pull in some other colors from the kit using some little pieces of scrapbook paper, and then I just started filling in the gaps with some different planner accessories. One really simple thing to do to add some dimension to your planner pockets is to make a little washi sampler. So here I just have a little scrap of acetate that's left over from a dashboard that I made, and I just put some different watercolor washi on there that pulled in some of the other colors from the kit and then put that in the top pocket. I also made myself some little embroidery floss paper clips, which I like to do because it's a really cheap and easy way to pull in different colors from the kit. It's really inexpensive, and you can always find a color that matches. Up in the top pocket, I wanted to add a little bit more dimension by pulling in this polka dotted print paper. And then I also added in my little tassel and some decorative paper clips. I had this scrap of acetate from some packaging, and I decided to pull that in as well because I thought it kind of simulated bubbles and added some different textures into the pockets. And then I just filled in some of the gaps with some of the little die cuts. And this is a really great way just to use up some of those extra die cuts, because really there's no better place to use them than in the kit, right? So with that done, I just made some last little adjustments and then put my stickers into the pocket. I felt like it was still looking a little bit flat, so I thought maybe I would try and bring another piece of scrapbook paper into the pocket. I tried this teal print, stripe print, but then I thought the best thing to do would be to bring in the extra piece of divider paper that I had. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and I just wanted to remind you that if you would like to enter the giveaway to receive the date kit and a tassel, all you need to do is subscribe and post a comment in the comment section below that says stickers please, and I will reply with a number, your entry number, and please do it before the 27th. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!